It's another episode of The Next Fix. And we've got some hometown heroes, or at least for myself, right? Two Orlando folks who have hood rat histories. And we have Misti with us today. And it is just a real blessing that we've gotten connected by mutual friends who know, they probably know us better than we know ourselves. And they said, hey, you two have to have a conversation, and everybody gets a chance to listen to it happen. Misti, just real quick, a real high level introduction of yourself, who you are, what you're about, and then we'll dig into the nitty gritty.
Perfect. I am Misti Spencer. I'm an author, speaker, and survivor. I am a survivor of child exploitation, human trafficking, domestic violence, amongst other things. And I am out speaking and engaging, spreading awareness, advocating, and educating. This is part of the prevention on my side. So my mission is to talk about my story and give testimony, let people know that there's another side. There's the other side of the rainbow, if you will.
Right.
That it is hard, but if we have the right people in our corner, we can get through this together. So that's what I'm here to talk about and what I write about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all like glorious and the other side of the rainbow, right? It's such an amazing endpoint, and to see where you're at now is like so glorious, but we don't want to know about that at first, right? We want to know about the hood rat stuff. We want to know where the train came off of the tracks. Like, what started telling you like, something's got to change, and then how bad was it when that was going on?
Yeah. So I had alcohol in my life since I was born, basically. I grew up around alcohol. Everybody around me drank. There was always parties, and growing up with alcoholics and people that didn't have boundaries. I didn't have boundaries. And I also grew up in poverty and without many resources. So I was running around on the streets a lot, getting into trouble, and learning by impact.
So I'm sorry to interrupt it. I do that a lot.
Not at all.
Well, who were the alcoholics? Like, was it your parents? I'm imagining that they were involved. Like who were the people that you were like observing and mirroring, right?
My mom was an alcoholic. She did die from alcoholism ultimately. And so both of my parents have passed, but drinking was just part of the atmosphere. Really. And it allowed for people who struggled with alcohol in my family to kind of hide behind that. And so her alcoholism wasn't something that everyone talked about or dealt with in the present moment. And so we were just part of it. It wasn't anything that we looked at and went, "Ooh, you're an alcoholic and you should stop," because everybody was partying.
Sure.
But from the lineage, there's other alcoholics. That's how she grew up. That's how they grew up. So it's generational trauma, generational curses. It's passed down when it's accepted in the household that everyone's running wild and drinking together. Children get lost in that. And that's where I got lost and started drinking very young because of it.
How young was that?
So I remember first stealing alcohol around 7, 8 years old, testing alcohol off tables. They had a lot of times at the parties, they'd have daiquiris and fancy glasses. I write about it. So this is a lot of what, if you read my book, you'll see this, but they would have daiquiris and fancy glasses, and that was appealing. And I'd taste. I was mischievous. And so I would take taste testings, and then I'd get the feeling. I remember really being attracted to the feeling of escaping around 10.
Okay. Yeah.
Was abused in between the ages of 8 and 10. And that is when my wanting to go to alcohol and escape what I was going through really began. And it was just accessible all the time. Alcohol on tables all the time. So it was very simple. Walk over, sip. Nobody was paying attention.
Right.
And I was already kind of an off kid. I have autism as well.
Right.
And so even though I have great skill sets and can mask it, when I was a little girl, I would have meltdowns inside. And
Oh,
so because I was already kind of a behavioral problem, me drinking actually mellowed me out a little bit. They liked me better.
oh,
And I learned to associate that I was more fun, less restrictive. I allowed my environment to happen
yeah.
when I was drinking as opposed to when I wasn't.
So I
Yeah.
see you were able to kind of like do that calculation, like you're a child and you felt like something that was wrong was cured when you drank. And like, and I don't doubt that like you, even a child can feel that, even though they
Yeah.
can't put, you know, like maybe a label on it, but like they can feel like you're telling me that you could feel things are just a little bit better when you drank a little bit.
Oh, definitely. It took the edge off of me. And again, I was being abused at the time and hiding. I didn't have the language to articulate what was going on in my life. And I didn't have any safe adults asking me the right questions or probing into why I was having behavioral problems. And in schools back then, I
Yeah.
grew up in Florida. In schools back then, when you were a behavioral problem, they paddled you and used corporal punishment. So I'm a product of school corporal punishment. I was
Wow.
afraid to speak. If I spoke or said I was uncomfortable, I got ruler slapped across my hands.
Yeah.
And my father was also a threatening discipline person.
Sure.
So threatening with, this is what's going to happen to you if you don't do what I want. Although
Right.
he was wonderful, he had his breaking points, and that was his
Yeah.
disciplinary measure. So
Right.
having all of that kind of discipline for a young child, I felt crazy inside all the time. And alcohol was the thing. And I tried a lot of other drugs. I was using NyQuil. I would dose on NyQuil, whippets, huffing Scotch Guard. We used to play a
Wow.
game called the
Yeah.
pass out game,
Gosh.
where we would choke off our own oxygen supply. But when you wake up from that sensation and that buzz, I would be seeking that freedom. I
Yeah.
wanted freedom from my human condition sometimes, although I loved my life.
Right.
That's
Right.
the most confusing part of it. I didn't have the awareness that I don't like my life. I just know that I'm easier to deal with when I'm
Sure.
loose. I feel better. And
Yeah.
everybody likes me more. I'm
Right.
funnier
Oh
and
yeah.
sweeter and more tolerant, even at 10.
Right. And just so everybody knows, like you and I are most certainly cut from the same cloth and we fall into the same, you know, same generation. We're the same age and we grew up in the same part of the world.
Yeah.
And so everything that you're saying is just like my brain is like, oh yeah, like I get so many elements of this. And well, for myself, I had a lot of the same things, maybe just a little bit later than yourself. Not much later, but and it's so what seemed as a solution eventually became an absolute shit show. But you know, like I'm curious as to when did it start ramping up, right? Because all my the pass out game, my God, like what a moronic thing to do. And when I mentioned it to other people, like even younger people, like we have a mutual friend who's my cousin, and her son is looking at me like, you did what? And I'm like, yeah, like, I guess, yeah, it's pretty stupid. Thank God he thinks that way. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, good. Yes. Totally stupid. Very, very, very accurate. Right. So, but when did it start really kind of getting, like, I guess wonky for you or where could you maybe pinpoint maybe where things really started getting ugly?
So I have a lot of trauma. Because I was out in the streets and playing and alone a lot, I had a lot of neglect. I was raped at 11. And so by a much older high school boy that I didn't know, and I was coaxed into that. And then then I was molested from 12 to 14 and sexually abused. And that's when I had my first trafficking event, where this person would take me out of city, out of counties, and move me, say that we were doing other things, but we would really be going to a
Oh my God.
hotel. I didn't know what was happening. It was all very where you think somebody's just being affectionate and loving, and that built up. And so through that process from 11 to 14, my drinking picked up because
Right.
I had terrible night terrors, and a lot of that would come back to me. I'd have flashbacks in the daytime or smells. So my drinking ramped up, and then I had
You
a
and this
period of,
this is I'm sorry, I'm just like catching up
it's
my brain.
okay.
God, it's like,
I know I'm throwing a lot on you all at once.
well, that's I mean, it's just I mean, my God. So this person, these people, that this it's just so gross, so gross. And this person is, presenting to you this great time traveling. Meanwhile, the hidden agenda is sex, and
Yeah.
you're a young girl with a drinking problem, makes you the primary target for this, with you know parents looking the other way with their own issues. And so it's just a perfect storm, and it's so gross. Like it's like making me like, it's gross. And you did this from 11 to 14. And that's the part that like is just, how on earth could you be expected to defend yourself? Or, why wouldn't you just assume that this person cares for you? It doesn't take much to persuade a young mind like that. And it's just absolutely disgusting. And so, like, it's just so, and thank
Well,
God
and
I'm
I
able to
love
work with,
them. I
yeah.
want to say something about that because this is the part that I am advocating for.
Right.
It's usually in trafficking, especially somebody that you love and care about that moves into your life in a specific way that builds trust with the people around you. They don't abuse everyone. They
Right.
they usually gravitate towards somebody who is vulnerable, who is living in some sort of neglect or has issues, and they exploit that. I'm like you. I bet your mom and dad don't see the ways that you are so special. I bet they don't give you the attention you need. You aren't getting the
Mm,
clothes that you should have because I grew up poor. We had hand-me-downs that didn't fit and holes in my shoes and tangled hair and baths once a week. Things like that, I stood out. And it makes a predator
yeah.
it
Yeah.
easily pinpoint who they
Sure.
could work with. And it is a job for them. It's something that is exciting. It isn't instantaneous. So there's nothing that flares up inside that made me go until. There's an
Right.
when they get too close and they get into spaces that you're like, whoa, I did. And I want to clarify, this person didn't even we didn't have intercourse. This is how they keep it from going to places that a kid would go, oh, this is really bad,
Right.
right?
Right.
I may need to tell someone.
Yeah.
It's all the incidental things that build up over time. And then the events occur,
Mm,
then the abuse, then the molestation. And I was already in love with them.
yeah.
And it doesn't feel the same. So we think of taken. I'm going to take you,
Sure.
right?
Right. Right.
And I'm
Right.
going to
Right.
do these terrible things. It was the opposite. And it happened to me several times in 3 different spaces. So what I
Wow.
talk about is that patterns and behaviors. The drinking was medicine. I
Sure.
treated it
Yeah.
like medicine because when a big event happened with my abuser, and I realized, oh no, I've gotten myself into something terrible. They're doing terrible things to me now. How do you even get out of that?
Yeah.
How?
Right.
And drinking allowed me to get out of that
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
moments. Yeah.
This
So
is so
after that, I'll get
wild.
you to
Yeah.
the ramp up. Years and years of drinking, years
Yeah.
and years of coping. I did it all through my 20s. I went to school and then I was part of what people call the lifestyle.
Mm,
I talk openly about it. And I'm open for any questions about that if you do about the lifestyle part. But I got in again with partiers and druggers and drinkers. So the drugs got heavier. My ability to be abused got, it, it's unbelievable to me to even talk about it to you now. As time goes on, all that trauma builds up and I didn't deal with it. Even as an adult, when I knew what had happened to me, I kept running from it. I can be a normal wife, a normal mom. I can own a company. I can network and be in leadership and powerhouse through everything.
Right.
And then a flashback hits
Yeah.
because again, I was trafficked 3 times in my life, and a flashback will hit from childhood or from adulthood. And the first thing I want to do is go to the bar.
Right.
Hey, let's get out of here. You're stressed. I'm stressed. Let's
Right.
go. And my life became happy hours, bottomless brunches, boozy brunches with my girlfriends.
Right.
My whole family drinks. And I was lost in this like abyss. It was an
Yeah.
ocean for me, and I couldn't get out of it.
I do want to know, like, because when you say lifestyle, like I've used that kind of reference, I've said it. And for me, the lifestyle was that, like, I went to Las Vegas and I was bartending on the strip, and it was, a lot of it seemed very, very cinematic. It was like a movie, it was like it's kind of like Hangover and the movie Casino, right? Like, there's elements of it that were exciting, and it wasn't all bad. And so, to my soul, it was pretty tough though. And that lifestyle, it included all types of things, not prostitution for myself, but I was around prostitutes, but they're normal to me. We meet late at night for like after work talk and conversation, and drugs was a constant. And I, the scene, there's certain, parts of what I think of as the lifestyle. And I went to the belly of the beast, Las Vegas, if you're going. So in my mind, that's kind of what I'm attaching to the lifestyle. But I do want to know, like, just, maybe briefly, like what did that look like for you?
So when I reference the lifestyle, that is what you're talking about is partying. Most
Mm.
people go out and party. Lifestyle has a lot to do with when you go into sexual lifestyle. We use
Oh,
that word. A
okay.
lot of swinging, strip clubs, different things like that. And it isn't necessarily sex work. A lot of people associate human trafficking with being a sex worker.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
got wrapped up
Okay.
with people because I went into the underground, so to speak, of Orlando. All the drugs were hitting in the early 90s. That's when I got into here. And I met people I was courted into the strip club scene as just
Mhm.
a girlfriend. Hey, this is what we do. Older people, usually 10 to 15 years older than me. And they take you to the clubs.
Right.
They took me to the clubs, bought me steak and the things that I couldn't have and the pretty bras and underwear sets and
Right.
take pictures. You're a beautiful girl. What
Right.
we could do with you. You could make a lot of money.
Mm.
Let's just take some pictures. Let's just take some videos and think about the early 90s. This is all before the internet,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
This
Right.
is
Right.
Polaroids and old style VHS video cameras. Very, very old school organic stuff was happening. And
Yeah.
so it
Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't as blatant as what's even happening now where
Like when
people
you
are
say
proud
organic,
of it.
you're talking like about like the technology, like that element. And what I'm kind of extracting is there's a piece that it was maybe more underground, is more hidden,
Yeah.
and it.
Yeah. It's in bedrooms and living rooms and things like that where people are like, hey, we're just hanging out. You should come hang out.
Yeah.
Next week, you're going to a deeper club that they're doing more stuff. And eventually, as an adult, the second time I was trafficked, hanging out with strippers and there's nothing, I'm not putting down
Of course.
anybody's
Of course.
preferences for their
Sure.
careers and decisions for money making. It isn't about that.
Yeah.
It's
And
about
I
the
want to.
situation
And
that
I
I
do,
was
and I
put
want
in.
to. I maybe I'll take this moment because I think that you and I are probably aligned here in it. Like, I don't have any love loss for the people making a choice to be a part of, some of those scenes. Like even prostitutes, it's the oldest profession in the world and all of that. I suspect that there's other parts of that lifestyle that their soul isn't getting the right care. I suspect that. I could be wrong, but I don't have any love lost for them. However, if it's just it's a pretty darn good place to not care for your soul. Why? Because of the alcohol and the drugs and nothing is being addressed. There's a lot of predators that kind of live in those spaces. And so I just think you and I are saying the same thing. It's like, they're not all bad, right? And it's not even like bad.
It's not good or bad. There
Right.
you go. There is no good or bad. How do you feel about what you are doing? And I worked in strip club and I bartended, cocktailed, and did all of that in the underground. They convert the abusers, the predators convert people who are vulnerable. I was vulnerable because of resources, finances, and struggling with money as a young person. And they looked at that and the trauma, which I didn't tell anybody. I just thought I was a wild girl and I wasn't promiscuous. That's the other part. People can misconceive the whole thing, misconstrue the whole part. It isn't about the sex. It's about the power. I can get you to do something you otherwise wouldn't have done.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because the initial resistance is what gets them interested. Oh no, I don't do that. I'm not that. I'm not that girl. Oh my gosh, that is, let's go get her. That's the girl they're looking for.
That makes it more sinister. And it's like,
yes,
even like a simple transaction for a sexual act in my mind. It's like, if that's a choice between two people, it's like, okay, but then there's this other, predatory behavior that can really just like rip somebody's soul into pieces. And so, but this is what you're doing on the regular, right? Like, and you didn't know any other way out. I'm so curious. Like, I want to know, like,
I got in and then I got out because I got abused. The trafficking events, fortunately for me, my neurodiversity, when I get really hurt, I run. So when I was put into a situation, I didn't know what I was walking into. I was told it was another event. I went into this situation and it was a party that included me as part of the favors and festivities.
Oh.
And I didn't understand what was happening. And when I refused, I got in trouble and I got pressured and I did things I didn't want to do. And they had me on film and photos and they were blackmailing me. So I didn't have a lot of options when I'd get into this scenario. And that's really what happens to a lot of young women, is that you think you are having the greatest time of your life. You're wearing the prettiest clothes, or you have the nice shoes now, and you can have the things you want. But then it comes at this cost because you have to perform when they want you to perform. And I got out. I ran from that scenario. I was in another state when that happened to me. I came back to my home state and I found myself gravitating towards the underground again. Right. This time, though, it was people that had real careers and jobs, lawyers and politicians and a whole new scene of Orlando. And we're talking mid-90s now, where they showed me a different way of living, that I could have the career too and play. And they were feeding me anything and everything I could need to sustain myself at the time. And that went on for about 10 months. And I just thought we were couples swinging and having fun. And I was the girl and they loved me, right? Then I got into the same scenario, but this time I was taken far out into the woods, into a house that had dozens and dozens of people, but they were auctioning off women, and they had, I don't know what kind of language I can use here. Maybe I should have asked that, but they were doing orgies and gangbangs and things like that, switching things out. I walked in the front door thinking this was a stop on the way to a club. blacked out windows of a limo, forced to go because I had no idea we didn't have cell phones. I didn't have a
Right.
pager.
Sure.
We didn't have Uber. There was no way for me to get out. So when I walked in, I hid in corners. I pretended to do things and I hid. I ended up hiding in a kitchen because it was dark in there with another person who didn't want to be auctioned.
Oh
And
my
we hid in a
God.
kitchen together and I never saw them again. So I was able, when I would get into that moment, I got out right away. Most people don't.
Right.
And it's a women's epidemic, although there are a lot of men and whatever you identify, there are a lot of people in this. That's not the point.
Right.
We get sucked into it and all of a sudden you have something in your face. I had something in my face. I couldn't negotiate anymore.
Yeah.
And after that, I got out of the lifestyle completely. I became a mom. I became a wife. And that is when all the stuff I did, everything that happened in my first 24 years came crashing down on me. Then I hit my 40s and my kids are grown and doing their own things. And I look great. I look professional. I look like I can party at night and get my stuff done in the day. And I was put together and I was falling apart all at the same time.
And so now that's probably where the alcohol.
That's when it took over.
Yeah.
I was alone. My father had died in my 30s. Then my mother struggled with alcoholism to extreme levels. And when she passed away, my alcoholism, get this, she dies from alcoholism in front of us. Like we watch it. And I coped with it by being drunk the entire time in hospice. Just spent 9 days hammered, right?
Right.
Then she dies. And I am judgmental, by the way. I am not nice to her after her death. I hate her. And I'm really looking at myself.
Sure. That's
I had just become, and I don't blame her anymore.
Right.
Really. I understand her and I understand my family. I love all of them.
Yeah.
Because I want to be loved. I made all of those mistakes too, maybe worse than any of the ones they made. So in my mid 40s, I'm 51 coming up and I decided.
You look fantastic. You look younger than me and you're a little older than me. I mean, I thought anyways, well, congratulations at least on that.
Thank you.
Very good. Very well done.
Thank you. Not drinking helps. Let me tell you, not drugging and drinking, I anti-aged. A little bit of Benjamin Button happens when you get rid of poison.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
It's so like, you don't think your skin can actually come back a little bit. It's such a blessing. Right.
We replenish skin cells constantly. You're replenishing your body constantly. So you're reintroducing healthy things into your body, get rid of the poisons, right?
Sure.
So in my mid 40s, my drinking was terrible. I'd been almost divorced 3 times. I've been married 23 years now.
Oh, awesome.
And my husband, amazing, but he was a drinker too. You know, we did it together. We fought in drinking together. And then we recovered from that together. But I was the one he wasn't the daily drinker. I drank every day, every night, and not drunk every night. Right?
Sure.
But drinking every day just to sustain. And then 4 years ago, this October is my no drinking date. So go back 4 years. It was my 6th time trying to quit drinking. I started in July of that year, 4 years ago, 2022. And I was going to do it this time. I was going to stay off the alcohol. I went several months and we went on vacation. Actually a music festival.
Yeah.
And it was semi-professional, semi-business, semi-vacation. And I went there as soon as the morning started for us to get ready to go. The cravings are really what got me.
Right.
I had been several months off. I'd kind of gotten over the cravings, but I wasn't going out into public. I wasn't going to bars. I was isolating. As soon as I started thinking about the vacation, gosh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to not drink? Everyone drinks and my whole family's there, right? Nobody knew that I was struggling with alcoholism, by the way,
Oh,
as
wow.
severely as I was hiding all of
When
it.
you say nobody, does that include your husband? Does that include your
Yeah.
kids?
I think that they knew I was struggling, but it became the joke. And the same thing happened with my mom. I started getting birthday cards about me being drunk on margaritas. You know, the funny
Oh,
birthday cards
right.
and I started being made fun of for my drinking. And
Hmm.
I wouldn't remember things. I'm a blackout drinker. And so binge blackout.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot of fun though, right? I'm a lot of fun. And I would hear about the great time I had blackout drunk, but then I'd also hear about what I did to somebody. And
Yeah.
that started increasing where I would realize that I said something flippant or off to somebody I love, my child or my husband, and I had no recollection. How
Oh,
do you
wow.
genuinely apologize for things you actually don't remember doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I got started being sent memes that were like, who you are when you're drunk. Don't listen to her. I
Right.
don't know her. She's not me.
Yeah.
And Drinker Bell became part of my identity. Drinking
Did you have a
Beauty.
name? I know some people call themselves, like, even my cousin, I think, has like an alias, right? Like, did you have like an alias?
Not really. It was Misty's crazy. You know,
Like you,
here's
but
Misty.
everybody knew
Here
who that
she is.
was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I was known for being this kind of, I was a personality. It was
Yeah.
part of my personality. Every day, who I was, how I grieved, how I loved, how I had relations, how I had friendships. Everything I did revolved around the alcohol by then. So taking it out of my life was tearing down the entire kingdom at that point.
Wow. And nobody
And I
knew.
knew
And
it.
nobody knew what was going on. That's so good.
They,
I mean, they didn't think it was a problem is what I guess I'm saying. It's like they all knew, but nobody suspected that it was a struggle.
but I was doing things. This is part of the generational curse. They just had seen so much worse in their life. I'll tell you, for instance, COVID got me. That was
Mm,
2022 was when I decided to stop drinking. COVID was right before that. I
sure.
would be doing something like this with family,
Right.
FaceTiming. Ha ha ha. We can't see each other. It's COVID. And I'd be making margaritas for my neighborhood, neighbors all around us. I'd put them over the fence. 11 a.m. This would
Yeah.
begin.
Yeah.
4 p.m. I was blackout, passed out on top of my computer, and
Hmm.
my family was still on that FaceTime. Nobody. And my husband knew, people knew I did that in front of people. I was blackout, drunk in a bathroom at a big, huge restaurant in Orlando, like bar restaurant. And the staff and my friend and my husband carried me to my car. I'm 44 years old at the time.
Yeah, it's not pretty. It's
But
not pretty.
because I look young and I acted young and I was just wild, I'm a wildflower.
Yeah.
Nobody would stop that. And I'm nice and I'm kind. Who would stop that? They're having fun with me too. So
Sure.
I get it. And I want to be very careful when I say this. It isn't blaming the people around you. It is about accountability, right?
Mm,
And I
yeah.
realized that the reason my mom got where she got was because nobody stopped her.
So you like how would you describe your desire to stop during all of this? Was it that you knew you had to stop and you felt you couldn't, or were you still, doing a little bit of the denial thing, during in your mid 40s? Like where were you on like the gradient of beginning a real recovery shot? Because you had mentioned that you had tried a few times, but in the midst of like, because I guess we're like at 2022 and you're passing out on the computer, like, were you aware like this has got to stop because of your mother?
I I don't think it was because of her. I did not see that I had the same patterns and behaviors. I judged her so harshly at the time and felt so abandoned and hurt and traumatized that I literally put it all in her basket.
Wow.
You're this, I'm not. And I'm just fun. This is what, so I passed out. Haha, it happens. But then, my children, they got to ages that they started partying, right? My son was in his 20s. My daughter turned 18. And I now know, just because of my history, I grew up in bars. I grew up with drinkers. I grew up with predators. I was trafficked in my late teen, early 20, right? Like, well,
Right.
21, 22. Those are the actual ages, but it was that courtship from 18 to 21.
Yeah.
And how am I going to protect my daughter if I'm blackout drunk with her at a bar? And I could not stop my drinking. I could not stop binging. I could not stop the shots. It was a constant get drunk until.
Yeah.
So I made the decision I wasn't going to destroy my children. Like,
Wow.
I felt destroyed because I was blacking out in front of them.
Right.
And
You're
I
giving
didn't
them the
know
green
what my
light.
mom's alcoholism was like. I didn't know if she blacked out. We never talked about her being an alcoholic, ever. Yeah. I told her she was, but we never talked about it. So once I came out as an alcoholic, most people argued with me. You're not an alcoholic. Come on. Mind you, I was doing other drugs.
Yeah.
I was still dabbling if I could, not all the time, but if ecstasy, cocaine here and there in my 40s, whatever I could do to party. And it started wearing on me. It wore on me as a professional. It wore on me as a mother. It broke up my marriage almost 3 times. I was going down with the ship, essentially, and I felt it. I also had a DUI. I had a DUI 8 years ago. And I was on my way to a second one easily because I was still drinking and driving all those years. And I would get flashes in my head. You're going to kill someone.
Yeah.
You're going to kill your daughter, maybe. You're going to kill your son, maybe. You don't know what you're doing. And these little flashes would pop in my head. I call them flashbacks. They're not the same as like PTSD flashbacks, obviously.
Yeah.
But it would be like something would hit me in the head. And I was going down with the ship.
Yeah.
Spent all my money on alcohol, was going to lose my husband and my children if I didn't stop. And I wasn't going to be my mom. And I stood on my pedestal of not being like her. And I was going to quit drinking, go to Mexico. And the moment I got off the plane, I announced to my husband and my family, I'm drinking. They thought I was just not drinking for health issues. I was going to get healthier, trained for the savage race. And literally, I was day drinking alone at night, hiding how much I was drinking, putting wine bottles in game boxes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I was hiding, but I've been hiding my whole life, hiding all the trauma.
Right. That was not new to you. Like you were very well equipped with the the mentality that it takes to hide and lie, right? Because that's what you got to do. You got to lie. You got to lie. You got to constantly lie. That's the only way that you could perpetuate a life like that, which is it's a sad thing. It's so sad.
True. It's true. And then Mexico, I binged, I drugged and binged the entire 5 days we were there. And I did not black out, pass out. I didn't hurt anybody. I was on my game. And I drank the entire time.
Oh.
And then, at the edge of the ocean that last day, coming off of everything going, I've got to go home now.
Yeah.
I've got to go home now. And I spread my father's ashes in the ocean. We used to say, meet me in Mexico if we ever needed to run away and we couldn't find each other. And so I went to Mexico and I spread his ashes and he smacked me around a little bit and said, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Wow.
You're gonna die or you're gonna kill one of them, because my kids were there. And that was the end. ironically, after I spread the ashes, I rinsed all that pain down with mimosas and margaritas, and I got blackout drunk at the airport. I don't remember going home. I fought with my husband. I ignored my kids, and I woke up, I became aware again on the plane, and I was shelled up crying with music, and I didn't understand where I was or what I was doing, why I was there. Then I realized what had happened. Nobody was speaking to me. I was arguing with my husband, and I didn't really know why, what had happened. And for that following 24 hours, I sat down with myself and said, it's rehab, or you figure out how to do this on your own now. You never touch alcohol again. It never happens again. You'll lose your children. Your children
Wow.
will never forgive you, because I felt like I was a good mom
Yeah.
until I wasn't.
Yeah. My God.
So that was the day. It was October 13th, 2022 was the last day I drank, and I went out with a bang, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I fight every single day. Every day I wake up, I know that I'm successful just because I didn't drink today.
That's
Every day.
amazing. Now, oh my God. And so, well, I do have to share something. It's the first time this has ever happened, but we have to do a part two for many reasons. For many reasons, and they're all good, right? And this is such a sensational journey, and just because there's so much to talk about, and what I'm going to do is we're going to save this comeback, because I know that's what we have to, like, I can't wait to hear how this all comes and turns around. And so, that's a pretty good place to leave off, though, is that you drew a line in the sand. And so, for everybody listening, stay tuned, because in your viewing, it's only going to take a second. But for Missy and myself, we're going to come back to this, and we're going to get to hear the climb. We're going to hear all about the comeback in her book and what she's doing now for her husband and her children, and how she's making a difference in this world. And so, for now, the next fix is on pause.
Thank you.
Awesome. It's part two of Misty's journey. And just, if you've wondered, right? No, I haven't shaved, and I haven't slept either, right? I want to know what's going on here. So, but all right. So where we left off is Misty has drawn a line in the sand. And we know, by seeing her today and knowing what's going on now, like, clearly she climbed out. But where the story left off, where I'm wondering what happened, is like, how exactly did you do it? Right? Like, well, how did you start to become sober?
Yeah. So we talked about comebacks, that's the part of this. And I feel like I've had a lot of them. It wasn't the first comeback. When I was young, I stopped drinking multiple times in my life that I didn't realize that it would become problematic coming back in my life. So fast forward, after Mexico, it was the big comeback. And a lot of factors. I changed my life entirely. The things that were difficult for me, happy hours, the brunches, and all of that, I replaced it and reinvested my time. That was the first thing that I did. So I went paddling a lot and went out to the ocean when everybody was hungover after a Saturday night of partying. I was out at the beach watching sunrises at 6 a.m. and asking for strength. And I had hope that I could do it. And I kept focusing on those things. But what I
So
found
I want to ask you,
yeah, go ahead.
Misty, so, like, you're in the same group. A lot of times people will move locations, they'll change friends, so from what I'm gathering, though, you're amongst the same people, and you're in the same kind of environment mostly.
Yeah, nobody changed around me. I had to change everything. And with that came a lot of pain, because in sobriety or changing any addictive behaviors, I got clarity. And in that, I felt a tremendous amount of pain. Everything that I had been avoiding, everything that I had been escaping, it hit me tenfold. And I worked with therapists and psychiatrists and got diagnosed from here to Sunday. I have a handbasket of diagnoses now,
Right.
and I dealt with them head on, one by one. One of the major factors that helped me in my comeback was getting an intervention called the SGB shot. Have you ever heard of it yourself?
I don't think, no, I don't, I'm not familiar, but go ahead. Yeah. Like
Yeah, yeah.
when you say
It,
shot,
yeah,
injection?
it is. It's called the SGB shot. It's the stellar ganglion block. And you have a bundle of nerves that is responsible for your fight or flight. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't know all the particulars. I'm a patient. And so I implore anybody to read more about it. But I was granted this by a foundation because I'm a survivor. And the SGB shot, it's one shot that goes directly into your neck, and it basically resets your fight or flight. And once I was able to do that, I could confront the trauma, the pain, the stuff that we've already talked about head on. And that really helped me with the drinking. But what I'll tell you is it's every day. I'm almost 4 years into this. It's a decision every single day. I wake up and say, this is my comeback. I wake up and say, this is my chance. There are no negotiations anymore. I don't say,
Right.
well, if I just did this, well, if I just did that. Unfortunately, the truth is it changes relationships. It changed my familiar relationships. It changed my friendships. It changed how people treat me. And I want to say that out loud because a lot of people that are on the road to changing addiction and sobriety and being sober of whatever it is that controls you. I don't use sobriety in the way most people do. It's becoming sober of toxicity, really, right? And so for me, I had to accept that I was becoming someone different. And I had to accept that that means there's parts of my personality that are going to come out that others aren't used to seeing, the stuff that I was hiding, and confronting that with my friends and with my family and saying, here's the real struggles. I understand you don't get it. I understand you don't understand my pain. But can you understand that going into this environment is painful for me? And if anybody in your family or friend group says, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me, then they really don't care about you. That's the truth.
Right.
They care about their relationship with you and how it changes.
There's something I do
That's
want to
tough.
add though, because I think that this is in defense of them.
Yeah.
They probably got their own issues. Like if they're not ready to make that big of a change, it hurts them to see you, or it can. Some people aren't able to care for another person's progress if it makes them think of their own defaults and their own issues. And so if they look at you and they think horribly about themselves, a lot of times they're like, oh, I hate you. And it's no, you're upset with yourself. And it's, but to your point, if you want to get better, you can't be responsible for them getting better too, right? Like there's not enough room for that. So
No, that's part of that comeback series of yourself. It's understanding that the most important thing, not in a narcissistic or malignant way where we're only defined by what our needs are. What I'm saying is that our self-care and our worth, it starts with us. And if I can't say out loud that I'm struggling and in these ways, I have to change my life right now. And I experienced rejection through that. It was very painful. It triggered a lot of my old feelings being abandoned. But even now, and I'll say it, my friend said, hey, can you go grab me the wine out of the fridge and bring it to me? And after I was like, yeah, no problem. And after she had asked, she said, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have asked you to do that. That was so inappropriate, and that conversation really stuck with me. Like, gosh, people are using kid gloves around me. And I'm almost 4 years in. and they're being gentle around me. And I think that when we're getting over addictions, that kind of gentleness is what alienates. And I say this to people who are around others that are working hard to keep toxicity out of their lives. We don't need protection from that. Ask, are you okay with this? Did that feel inappropriate? Does this affect you? And if we can start opening the door for communication and conversations about how we feel while we're going through the changes, we might get through them, because it's much easier to go back and just start partying and drinking again and being who we were. It's easier. That's the truth. It's easier to start over again and be a drunk. It would be for me. My life, ironically, would probably be easier, quote unquote.
Right.
You can't see that in a podcast.
Right.
I quoted, quote unquote, it would be easier, but it's not, because I'm the one who has to deal with all the consequences the next day, or having to fish out my memories through other people's accounts of what I did. And I don't have to do that anymore. I get to wake up and go, I know how I felt in that moment. I know what I'm dealing with in those moments, and I don't have the obscurity. And I believe that that's part of the comeback, but also finding interventions that work for you. The SGB shot worked for me. It may not work for everybody, but that's part of what I go out and talk about, is that you keep finding what works. The moment you stop, the moment we stop trying is the moment it wins, even when we fall off.
So do you give credit for your traction and recovery, like solely to that shot? Or I guess I imagine there's other pieces that you had put together. You had mentioned just now several interventions and things. I said, what was your blueprint for getting traction?
So as far as blueprints go, we're so individualistic, right? What works for me doesn't work for everyone, kind of thing. So when I say this, I want to be careful with all the different interventions. I have a laundry list of therapies that I went through, dozens, because of the complex PTSD, plus of the neurodiversity. I had a lot of different things to work with different therapists and psychiatrists. I decided not to use prescription medications. I worked with medical marijuana. That helped me a great deal as well, especially in the beginning, but under care, not by myself, with somebody helping me with that. The SGB shot, I did not decide to do that until I was 2 years in. The anxiety of my socialization had built up so greatly that I felt it was hindering my progress. So the SGB shot was something that helped me go over to, I call it the other side. I was able to get to the other side of my addiction, because it's a journey, is it not? You know, it doesn't end when we go, I'm better, I'm not sick anymore, or I survived, I'm in recovery. Whatever terms you want to use, it's forever. Know it. Know it now. Recovery, it is your comeback. It's forever. And when I accepted that, the blueprint was, this doesn't work. What's next? This doesn't help with my cravings. What's next? Not stopping is the blueprint, because not everything's going to work for everyone. Medical marijuana affects people differently, gives them paranoia, enhances anxiety, right? May not work for you. Yeah. And it doesn't matter who's regulating it with you. Walking and becoming addicted to physical exercise can be just as dangerous, right? Over reading, over researching, healing. I write about this. Healing is addictive. When you get on your pedestal of healing, and I am organic and I am raw and I am healed. No, you're not. We're healing every day, because a new thing touches you. And that new thing that touches you may make you want to drink or drug or sex or party or whatever it is you do that makes you feel better. Because addiction is both medicine, our vices are our medicine, and
Right.
they're also our downfall. And it's the difference between acceptance and denial overall. And I think
I,
my blueprint
you
was
mentioned
acceptance.
you mentioned writing. I want to know, like, what does it look like these days? Because I know you've written a book, and I'm anxious to know. I want to know, like, how did that come about? I want to know more about that book, and I guess clearly you mentioned it, right, and you've also mentioned it like as a newfound bucket for your addictive tendencies, right? So, and I think that that's great, right? Like, if you're going to be addicted to something, be addicted to something like creating a book or something that helps people. So, like, I guess, yeah, walk us through that journey about how your book came about. Well, how did you decide to do it, and the route that you chose?
Sure. So for years, every time I go to a therapist or tell just a slight, not of the real bad trauma, by the way, of just little moments, blips in my life. And once you hear 3 or 4 of those blips in my life, I would hear, man, you should write a book year after year. And then I did go through AA. I went through recovery courses, skills classes to help with my communication and my socialization. Even though I did well in business, it was my private life that I struggled the most with. And because you don't have to be refined in public, when you're just talking. And
Right.
then 5 years ago, I had the idea of being Drinking Beauty, the title of the book, and to make it
Yeah.
more fairy tale sounding, and the Seven Narcissists. And to enhance it even more, I added, because I communicate through music, I added songs, a song lyric with whomever sung it or wrote the song is quoted in the book. So every passage has a song right after it. And the idea came to me 5 years ago and I worked with it. I am a published author through UCF. I contribute to curriculum having to do with human trafficking and modern slavery
Mm.
already. And that further gave me the writing chops, if you will, and the
Yeah.
ability to finish the book. And so the last 7 months, I locked myself up in a tower, so to speak, and I dug in. I excavated almost 50 years of events and memories using music. Because of my autism, music is what I tie memory to, and it helped me articulate what happened in my life in a literary way that doesn't just come out and say, look what happened to me. Bad things
Okay,
happen to
so
me.
I hold on. I want to, because I'm so curious. Like,
Yeah.
you locked yourself away into your tower of creation, right? However, like, now, because I am aware, and I'll just put it out there, your daughter is musically inclined, to say the least, right? And so
Yeah.
she's got a career, and she's a star, really. But I was trying to stay focused on you. So are you creating the music? Are you excavating those memories through music from those memories and times? I mean, how is that all kind of coming together while you're putting together the book?
So I studied music anyway, and I understand I'm not a technical musician or anything like that, but I do not create actual music. However, I understand it. Lyrics in particular really hit me, and I love
Right.
words, obviously, because I'm a writer. And so the words
Yeah.
of lyrics hit me very deeply. And since I was a very, very little girl, I didn't speak right away, but I sung song. Even at 9, 10 months, I would pick up lyric. And that's how I learned how to communicate and share how I felt, was by using songs. So even as an adult now, to people I care about or my husband, my children, my friends, I'll send a song lyric to tell them how I feel. And
Right.
I just incorporated that into
Oh,
my book. So these are all artists that we know. Some are popular, some are not, some are underground. There's an AI project that created music, soundtracks from movies. There's a whole chapter that
Right.
are
Right.
songs from musicals and musical movies. So I was very particular about how I designed the book, so you don't get stuck in any
Oh,
genre.
wow.
You won't love all the
Yeah.
music. Some of it's very hard. Some of it's instrumental. And so I wanted to give credit to the artists in my life as well, because they helped me. The
Yeah.
music. Ooh, this is where I get emotional. The music in my loneliest times. This is part of my blueprint. In my loneliest times in my life, the music and the music from these artists that gave us their hearts and their souls, no matter what their life stories are, no matter what your opinion is on any individual human that creates, their music, their creation touched me in such a deep, profound way, or it was an example of how I felt that I could never tell anyone. And I just cataloged
Oh,
over years, over 3,000 songs is what I ended up with. And then I narrowed it down chapter by chapter. And because I'm writing at least 9 more books, because each chapter will have its own book now, I save songs for those books, and I had to make some creative decisions about who was in this one and who will be in the others. And also, this is a project. I did not know how this book would land in the community and the public with it being so much trauma and so raw,
yeah.
but also have this artistic element that is interactive. So when you read a passage, which is probably going to be a little hard on your soul, or about love or make you desire something, you listen to a song that makes you feel what I felt writing. So while I wrote the book, I listened to the song during that passage the entire time. And I rewrote 3 times. I rewrote the book 3 times. The
Yeah.
first time was a hate novel. The second time I went through
Oh,
a fairy tale torment. And I didn't like either of them when I wrote them. I took 6 months off both, reread them, and said, this is going to hurt people. So I pulled them back, and then I went back. I took 6 months off again. I read it again in October of last year and said, she's ready. And then
wow.
that was it. I went in and I officially, because like you said, my daughter, I'm gonna go ahead and prompt it. My daughter was on American Idol this season.
Yeah.
She was in
Uh-huh.
top
Yeah.
20 of American Idol. And I'm going to tell the whole world because I
Yeah.
can. Her name is Madison Moon. And while she was on American Idol, I was writing my book. So we went on tour with her. We traveled with her and stayed close to her, mostly because of my history. And my husband was a
Yeah.
musician. So we traveled with her, and every waking moment that I wasn't with her or discovering the community, I wrote this book, and I quit my job, basically quit my
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
and said, the world,
Uh-huh.
there's too much of this happening in the world. And I think
How
I could change.
how did that feel? How did that feel when you were, I mean, I gotta imagine you were firing on all cylinders, right? Like it just had to have been the the ultimate feeling to be creating, seeing your daughter perform and take in every drop of that experience, and to have also your husband's there too. Like it couldn't have been any better, right? Like that. I mean, and that whole job thing, forget it, right? Like it's like you were experiencing what I could consider, or I would imagine, is life at its fullest. Is that
Yeah,
accurate, or how would you say that?
definitely.
Yeah,
And we have a son as well, and he got to travel to a lot of the events and got to be on television with us. And for me, it was the other side. All the work we did as a family. My husband quit drinking with me. I may have mentioned that already, but he quit a
yeah,
month
yeah,
after me as well. And to build our lives around function that didn't require escape helped us with our
yeah,
children, and us doing the American Idol stuff was full circle of how a family can transform when you have an addict involved, and to
yeah,
see us transform and who we are, who we were there is who we are. we're not perfect and we don't claim to be, and we don't stand on a pedestal. You know, this is reality.
Yeah.
My mom is this. My dad is this.
Yeah.
And we stand behind her. It was a family decision to release my book because ultimately it makes me
Oh.
unemployable because the whole world knows everything about me now. And
Mm.
my children could be affected. And I did not want that for them. So this was a family decision that I would
Yeah.
go out and become a public figure with my story. I was already kind of a personality around my town, but not in this fashion. And that platform, mostly, it showed me what we did and what everyone can do. Every family, if
Yeah.
you can pull together, tell your kids the truth. Don't hide who you are when you're struggling, because that might help them make decisions about what they do. If they don't know we're
Right.
struggling, then how else would we teach them how not to struggle the same way? So it showed me how to be honest and show the truth, you know?
Yeah. What a gift. Really, it really is. So these days, right? And my Lord, right? Like that is a project, right? You've got the book, but now you've already got it kind of penciled in for you're going to be a busy person for quite a while, right? And
All right.
3,000 songs, sheer volume, right? But there isn't a better aim. There isn't a better aim than to use and leverage what you've been through to protect others, starting with your own children. And so how else, I mean, so the book is out and I want everybody to know and get the most from Misty, right? So I want you to just kind of give us the whole ecosystem. How do they get involved? How do they work alongside you? How do they support you? Where do they get the book? All of those things. I want to know all of that. And I'll have it all in black and white as well. So just kind of give us, you know, what we have forward to look to.
Perfect. So my book is called Drinking Beauty and the Seven Narcissists, a Musical Journey. And it is right now on my website, drinkingbeautyjourney.com. I have it available digital EPUB, so you can download it into your own e-reader or any of your other apps, as well as PDF, so you can have it on your computer. And I have paperbacks available, signed first edition on my website as well. And then also
Nice.
we are public on Amazon now. I am releasing digital on Amazon on Wednesday, my birthday, our birthday, because your birthday is coming
It's
up
true.
too. Our birthday is coming up on Wednesday. And so I am celebrating by releasing on all avenues. It'll be Barnes and Nobles by the time our podcast is released, maybe it'll be on all avenues.
Right.
And then I start the Audible. I've been doing this in phases on purpose because I really needed to be sensitive. The topics that I'm discussing are highly sensitive, not just to the public, but for me. And the amount of
Yeah.
input that I receive every time I had beta readers, all of that, every time somebody reads it, it touches them because I have so many stories. One of them touches someone. And I needed to make sure this is part of the sobriety piece too, and protecting yourself. Even in creation, and even though I feel great, I have to protect my burnout. So I'm doing it in phases. And it will be Barnes and Nobles. I'm going to be recording Audible starting next week. Woo! And then you'll be able to purchase Audible. So from here on out, I am going for world domination. I'm hoping that it goes everywhere. I would love to have a New York Times bestseller. And I would love to go on the Drew Barrymore show. No, I don't even need to go on her show. That's the thing. Pinpoint the people in your life that were instrumental in your own change and value them. And public figures, that's part of what they give us. And she's one of those public figures that affected me greatly. And so the book, you'll be able to get it everywhere, hopefully. This is what I'd like to tell you about the book. You have multiple ways to take the journey. You can read a passage and listen to the song. Go to whatever streaming service you use. People ask me all the time about copyright. I'm not writing music. I'm literally quoting a lyric that touched me, like quoting a book or anything else, and I'm giving them credit immediately. So go to your streaming service,
Sure.
look up the song and the artist so that they get views, right? It helps these
Sure.
artists too.
Right.
And that's why you don't get a song list with it. People ask for song lists. No, you get to interact with my book. You get to go on your streaming service or your computer and look up the song. But one of the greatest things, because there's 99 songs in this book and about 88 artists, because I have repeat artists that touched my life. And when you go through each passage, you can make a decision whether or not to listen to the music or listen to it after you listen to the entire chapter or read the entire book and then go back and listen to the music. There's no right or wrong way to experience the book. Now, for really great readers, I'm gonna challenge you guys, especially my neurodiverse people. And I have several that are reading it right now like this. Listen to the music in the background while you're reading the chapter. It is make your own song list, get fun. We need distractions in today's world a little bit sometimes. Use my book as a really fun distraction. And if anything, your life might look better just by reading my story. That's the truth.
Yeah, I
would
agree.
You might go,
I would agree.
I didn't have to do that. Not that I'm anything great, by the way. It is not by my own hand alone. I have amazing human beings in my life. I have and I want that to be part of this story too. My book is not just about what happened to me or how it happened. It is the afterlife, the aftermath, the love stories, my difficulties in romance, my difficulties in intimacy as an adult, my difficulties parenting. Those are the things we don't talk about after the comeback. People go, woo, great job. You finished your book. You quit drinking. Your kids are healthy. Both of them are successful for them. But what about the daily, the ins and outs? When I just the other day, I went into a restaurant and big round of margaritas came out. I could smell the tequila. I could smell it on them.
Yeah.
And my mouth watered. All of that. That's what I talk about in the book. It isn't just, so I went to the store and I bought alcohol. No, it's when I went here. This is what it smelled like, felt like, how it is for me. So the book is an immersive feature, but it's not the end all say all. I would love for people to get in touch with me if they'd like to get involved more with human trafficking in general or exploitation. Maybe you want to learn more about the SGB shot and how, because that's its own book. I could write an entire book because I've had 2 of them now. I could write an entire book just about the SGB shot. More importantly, I want people to come to me as survivors that are struggling with their own story. Because the greatest thing I ever did for myself was to sit down and excavate everything that happened to me and meet all the demons at the doorway and say, come on, let's have a conversation. And so part of what I do is help others. I'm going to be doing memoir workshops all over the country. Next year, I'll be doing a university tour and then go to Europe with the book and do readings and workshops to teach others how to do memoirs. Because memoir work is very difficult in that you have to go through your whole story. You do it.
Yeah.
I did it. And my inner child was screaming the entire time, stop. And I wanted to drink every day. So we're going to be doing memoir workshops and digging into the book that way. Another feature is all the pictures that you see. The picture on the cover of my book is actually me. I had my photographer take all pictures in thrift shop or my own secondhand dresses. So this is the theme. We're showing people who don't have a lot. Survivors come out without a lot of money or the ability to help themselves. So I show how you can buy beautiful things at thrift stores and really rebuild your life without doing it the way we think we have to. So next is teaching people how to survive and live Because that's really what we want
Yeah.
to do. I'm tired of surviving. That's the truth. I say that a lot. The
Yeah.
truth. The truth is
Yeah.
I'm tired of surviving my life. I want to live my life,
Right.
you know?
Well, I'll say this: you're most certainly living it, and in your passion for getting people to, you know, and again, to your point earlier, everybody's blueprint, everybody's unique experience in becoming better, right? And that's really all that's truly it needs to be seen here. Is what I'm hearing is that if you're just better than you were, then that's really the point. And you're helping people do this in like a myriad of ways. And so it's really impressive. And so now, well, where would be like the number one place? Like they say they want all of it, or maybe they just want a piece of it. But where would they start? And then we'll get them there, right? Like,
Sure.
is it the website or?
I have multiple avenues because I believe that everybody communicates differently, right? I am a public figure. You can go on Facebook and find me. I'm Misti with an I, Spencer. Literally, that's all you have to do. You could look up my name, Misti Spencer, Misti with an I. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm not a huge social media human, but I understand that it's a requirement to live in this matrix. So I do. And I
Yeah.
also have a YouTube channel that I've been putting out videos explaining the book. And my YouTube channel is just my name, Misti Spencer. Everything's just my name. I have my own website, but it'll also get you to my book's website because she's her own. Drinking Beauty is not me. And I needed to have that separation. That's why Drinking Beauty Journey has her own website.
Mhm.
But you can get to her just through me. I'm literally just throwing up everything on the internet right now. So I'm making it easy. I have to, right? That's what we do.
Well, it's well, if you can somehow reach a place, or that's obviously counterintuitive because I was going to say reach a place of omnipresent, but that wouldn't be one place. It'd be all places. So, but that's what you are. You're omnipresent, and it really doesn't take much more than your name, and people can get to you. And once they get to you, they can probably get to a better piece of themselves through like a toolbox that has so many options. It's like crazy that you put all this together, right? It's really, really impressive.
And I want to hear
And
from
so,
survivors in that. That's the key thing. You know, there's opportunity. Sure. I have been in business my entire adult life. It's not really just about opportunities here. And I want to make that clear. Sure, my book is out there. Yes, you can help me by purchasing it in whatever avenues or discovering me in whatever way you want. I want to discover the survivors now. I want to help us get out more of these stories in the masses so that it's not so striking to the spirit. There's million more like me. I am nothing more than a statistic. That's what I want the audience to hear at the end of this, that what you can do to help is by digging in. When someone's struggling with alcohol, dig in. Hey, what are you struggling with? Don't attack them for the drinking. You'll never get anywhere attacking them for behavior. What are you struggling with? And helping people find the tools. So I'm not the end all say all. I don't have all the answers, obviously, but I have people in my life. I've been fortunate enough to know tremendous amount of earth angels and lighthouses in my life, my little compasses. And I access. Oh, they're amazing. I have access to people. So if you are listening to this or watching this or anybody hears this and you're struggling, I'm one of the people that can get you to resources or at least write you back and say, this might be another stepping stone. And also I want to open the door for conversation on all platforms. If you don't understand human trafficking in its current state, if you aren't sure of whether or not you've been exploited or your childhood trauma, I do a variety of questions and different things in the book that help you identify for yourself Maybe you're struggling with things because you haven't identified what's happened to you in your life. Let my book be a way to guide you through your own healing towards the end, because it isn't just about my trauma. The last sections, the last few chapters of my book help you dig into what is happening in your life. And it exposes some of the things that we fail to recognize about ourselves. And it's scary to do that. But if you're reading someone else's story, it's easier.
Yeah.
And so if you're struggling, let me know. Let someone know, and don't stop. Whatever you do, I don't care if you do it again today. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you start over again, and we never, ever stop trying. The day you stop trying is the day it wins, and your family, your friends, and you will lose every time. So just don't stop. And that's what I want everyone to get from Drinking Beauty.
That's awesome. All right. All right. Yes, this has been a two-parter. And yes, we've got Misti Spencer. So yeah, get involved one way or another. If it's not just for yourself, maybe to help her causes, but there's really a lot to get involved with. And I employ everybody too, right? Check it out and do something for yourself or somebody else too, right? But yeah, this has been another episode of The Next Fix. You're an absolute blessing, Misti. I appreciate you so much, all your time.
Thank you for all of
we'll see you on the next one.
I appreciate you. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. See you.